Hi, I'm Shotgun from Y100, and I'd like to welcome you to the Golden Connections podcast, where we share information about Golden House, domestic violence topics, and spotlight our board members and supporters. Thank you for listening and supporting Golden House in our mission to provide safety and support for victims of domestic abuse while leading efforts to end domestic violence in our community. And now, please welcome your hosts, John Kirsch and Chris Walls.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Golden Connections podcast. So glad to have you joining us for this new episode in April. And first thing I want to mention is that Chris, who's normally co-hosting with me, will be back next month. We just have a busy schedule going on right now, trying to line everything up and get the podcast recorded here, and unfortunately just scheduling was a little difficult, so we'll welcome Chris back next month. So you're kind of stuck with me alone to kick things off with a short introduction, and then we'll jump into our DV topic of the month as well as the board member spotlight like normal. So once again, welcome. I'm going to jump right into it and kind of discuss some of the topics going on. And the first thing I wanted to talk about this month is the phone-a-thon. We're actually just wrapping up the calling portion of it, and that just happened for us. And the chance for us to call and connect with our donors and collect some donations. It's a great event. Gives us a chance to talk directly with a lot of our supporters like you. So if we talked to you, or maybe we missed you and left a voicemail, once again, like we conveyed on the phone calls, just a thank you to everybody who's one of the Golden House supporters, and it's a great chance for us to connect, like I mentioned. There is still time to donate if you missed us on those connections. If you were in the mailing, you would have received a card. You can certainly send that in. There's also an option on the website if you go to goldenhousegb.org and go to our donate button that's there. One of the drop-down options for what you're donating for is the phone-a-thon, and you could certainly select that, and that'll remain up for a bit here. And you can go ahead and donate or send those in anytime throughout the year. So it's appreciated no matter what the time. Again, this month is typically our month that we make the calls and connect with everybody. With that, we had a little bit of fun over the past couple of weeks here, so I want to say a couple thank yous. Some of our media partners that I know of, Shotgun at Y100, in addition to doing our intro, like I mentioned before, but he and the Y100 team gave us a little bit of shout out there for the phone-a-thon, as well as WIXX and Corey Carter did a little short interview with me. And then also thank you to Minor and the Mayor, as I was on for a while shortly before the phone-a-thon, and had a good time talking with those guys, sharing some information about Golden House as well. So we really appreciate everybody who shared it on social media and everything as well. And again, especially the media partners who help us spread the word about Golden House mission and the events that we have going on. So I'm really happy. I think this will be a huge success for us. But again, if you didn't participate quite yet and you want to, there's certainly still time. And then the one other kind of event or topic that I wanted to mention this month, similar, I think we've mentioned probably the last couple of months, but there's always opportunities to volunteer. A couple of things in particular, we continue to do the meal train. So as we're in the new building, kind of settling in and getting used to the new kind of commercial cooking equipment and what it takes to run that, the meal train has been really effective. And what that is volunteering to essentially kind of cook and bring in a meal to the shelter for those that are staying there, and allow them to kind of eat that, for their dinner. We have a website for that. I can post it up on the site here, or you can find it in our newsletter, or I think some of our Facebook posts as well. But that also makes me, or kind of a reminder to mention that our website is a great place. If you are looking to volunteer or want some information, the website goldenhousegb.org has information out there about our needs and volunteer opportunities, as well as a great thing to sign up for is our newsletter. That, again, there's a link on the website to be able to sign up for that. And every month that comes out and typically has kind of our biggest need as far as, kind of items that are needed for shelter, and then as well as some of the volunteer opportunities that are coming up. So I mentioned that a lot, I think, on every one of the podcasts so far, but it is one of the questions that we get very, very frequently is, we want to help, or how can we help? And so we certainly appreciate and can use, the volunteers, and we have groups coming in even to help with the new shelter, and springtime coming up here, some cleanup outside will be needed. So there's always some things to be done, and we really appreciate the community support, whether individuals or groups, organizations, companies. We certainly appreciate that and can set some things up for that. Now we're going to move into our Golden House programming topic of the month. And for this month, we're going to be talking about Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we have Jody joining us from the team at Golden House. So thank you for joining us, Jody. We're so happy to have you here. If you wouldn't mind, if you'd please describe your role at Golden House and some of your experience. I know you've been with Golden House for a long time and have some great accomplishments there. So again, thanks for joining.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me here today. So I'm Jody, the shelter coordinator at Golden House. My role right now is supervising interns and the volunteers, and I also am in charge of the maintenance of the building. So I've had a lot of years of experience with children and families. I've been here for 27 years, and prior to that, I have been here part-time and interning here. So I have a lot of years working under my belt with kids and families.
All right. Well, thanks for that. And you have experience in a lot of different areas, like you mentioned. But again, this month's talking about child abuse prevention. So as we dive into that topic, can you tell us, what type of children's programming does Golden House have, and give us a little bit of overview on it?
Sure. So Golden House is working with kids who live in homes where there is domestic violence. So that can be really hard on kids and families, hard on the relationship. Some behaviors might occur with kids that are dealing with issues like that because they're focusing heavy on what's going on in the home, and trying to just survive. So we have a children's advocate and a children's advocacy program that works with families to help rebuild relationships that have been strained because of the domestic violence. We have children's therapy, children's support group. We meet with the children and the parents who come into shelter to try to assess the needs and refer to appropriate services in the community. And we actually, again, I mentioned we have children's therapy right here now. It's a newer program, and Kaylee works with the kids to help them deal with their feelings around the domestic violence, their safety, how to have relationships that are healthy with their parents, with their friends, with their siblings, and just kind of dealing with them at where they're at.
So I think that hits on two of the topics I get asked a bit of time about Golden House when folks aren't as familiar with what happens. And one of the things I wanted to, I guess, just the topic itself, right? Golden House certainly works with the entire family when there's a need for it. So I think this whole topic kind of covers it. The other one, when you were talking, though, it just reminded me of the fact that we might have children and families in shelter, right, that are getting the support, but you also would meet with folks that are not staying at the shelter, but they can still make an appointment or come in for some of these services, correct?
Yes. Thanks, John, for asking. That's right. We work with children who are in our outreach program whose parents may have been asking for some help for their kids, or if we have a rapid rehousing program as well. So we've got kids that are in those families, which we work with families living in the community that are housed with, in some of our other programs. And then we have a children's support group on Tuesday nights for kids that's at the same time as their parents would be coming to support group. So we have a number of services for outreach for children in our community. We also have some specialized programming. There's support groups in the jail and at targeted populations of kids who might be at risk for experiencing violence, either in their own home or teenagers who might be in abusive relationships as well.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned this, I think, already too, but along with this, it's support for the parents as well. Can you maybe expand on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, it's been my theory for a very long time, and from my experience, that parents that kids and parents need to rebuild relationships after they've been in a situation like this. They're in survival mode when they're in a home where there's violence. They're trying to just get by day to day and be safe to the best of their ability. And sometimes their relationship is strained a bit with that. Parents might not have had the opportunity to be the parent they want to be because they're trying to appease somebody who's trying to control them, and they might need a little bit of support to help with some behaviors that occur to kids who have had trauma. So we can work, and we like to work with the parents because they're basically those kids come in with their families and they go home with their family, and that's who really is going to ultimately make the difference for those kids. We can make a difference and teach them skills, but if they don't have a parent who's also um, helping them to maintain those skills, then they're going to really struggle to be able to do that on their own without the parent support.
So that makes me think of kind of a next level as well. And I know you and the team look at things at so many different angles. So I'm going to ask maybe I don't know. I think it might be a tougher question, but you guys have probably covered it already. But is there thoughts of so like these children, or especially as they become older children, right? So they're learning behaviors from watching their parents and watching people around, right? But this support is teaching them, that there are alternatives and ways to handle things, right? So is there thought into how this also helps them as they move into being an adult, to kind of try to prevent that from, occurring as they become adults too?
Yeah, yes, yeah, certainly that's part of what the goal would be, is um, to teach them that there's other ways to have relationships, that there's other ways to communicate. I guess one of the things I think about is a lot of kids kind of learn there's a winner and a loser in a violent relationship, right? And the winner's the one who has all the control, and the other one is losing all the arguments and doesn't get to do what they want to do. And there's compromise in most relationships. And one of the skills that we want to teach kids is how to compromise. And that can come from coming to support group and learning to compromise with the other kids that are, and work and have cooperation with the other kids that are in shelter. So we could, or in our support group, we can literally teach them the skills, even as in preschool, asking for a toy instead of just taking it from another child when you want it, and actually giving them the physical words to say, may I please have that toy? And the child could say, you can have it when I'm done. Really teaching them literally the words and the skills that they need to have a compromise in their relationships, and in their decision making with groups of people. And it makes a big difference, because in a home where there's one person that always has control, that compromise is hard for kids to learn. And you don't just pick it up, it's something that you have to learn somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, when you start thinking about it, if you see the same thing happening over and over again, it's easy to pick up those habits, and it takes a while to learn differently too. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate it. I learn something every time I do one of these segments or have a conversation. There's just so many levels and depths to the programming, and all that happens there with it. So we take these months where we have a specific month for kind of that education or that awareness going on, but these things are happening year round, and it kind of always being developed. Like you said, this is the children's program is a newer one as well, right? Fairly recently added in for the
Well,
support.
the children's therapy, yes, is new. We've had, children's programming. We were actually, when I interned here, we were one of the few organizations that had direct children's programming and staff that was dedicated to that, which, I'm pretty old now. That was in college, 30 years ago. But so we are kind of an innovative, we're willing to try new things. And the therapy was something that we were able to add which is, I think, a really excellent program for kids because it just is like one step further than what we were doing before.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks for clarifying. I knew I wasn't saying it quite right. So the therapy program, that one specifically is newer, but we've had a number of programs in years of that. So yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I want to thank you again so much for joining this month on the podcast and being able to share all this information. And thank you for all you've done. You've had some great accomplishments and some of the just the support and years of service to the clients there is just incredible. So thank you again, Jody. I guess any one last thing to share on the awareness month here?
I don't think so. Maybe watch for some things in the community. We have some great community partners working to help us keep kids safe in the community. And John, thanks a lot for your service with Golden House too, and doing this podcast. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Yeah, it's great to connect. It's great for me to learn a little bit more, just like hopefully others are when they're watching this. So once again, thank you. Thanks for joining us this month, Jody, and we'll look forward to seeing you again sometime here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to transition into our board member spotlight. One of the highlights of our podcast here. It's always great to get to know our board members and some of the things going on. So Kristen Larson is joining us this month. So thank you so much, Kristen, for joining.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to jump in and get to know you a little bit here, put you on the hot seat spotlight. First off, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and kind of your professional background, where you're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am born and raised in Green Bay. One of three. I have two younger brothers. We fought like crazy when we were kids, but we're really close now, and we hang out quite a bit. They're like my best friends. I moved away for about 7 years. I went to UW La Crosse for college. My first job out of college was in La Crosse, so I stayed there for a while, but most of my family is in the Green Bay area, so family really drew me back to Green Bay. My whole career has been spent in marketing. So I went to school for marketing. My first job out of college was marketing for a company who had never had any marketing before. So they kind of stuck me in an office and they said, go market us. Let's see what you can do. So that was terrifying, but it was also pretty rewarding because I got to kind of build something from the ground up for them. And then that's really been my path forward in marketing ever since then. I joined another company. That company was in La Crosse. I joined another company in La Crosse doing energy efficiency consulting work. And they hadn't had a marketing person before. So I got to really create that from the ground up. And I was there for 16 years. So I got to really kind of grow up with the company. And then I decided to go out on my own for a little while. I wanted to make a change and explore something different. So I did marketing consulting for about 1.5 years. And one of my clients on the consulting side was Elevate 97. And after we finished a few different branding and marketing projects, they actually asked me to join the team full time. So I now sit on the leadership team at Elevate 97. I'm the director of marketing and creative, and I work really closely with a team of 5 designers. I have a marketing team, and I work really closely with our environmental graphic design team as well. So the advisor for that type of work that we do is on my team as well. And when I'm not at work, I'm spending a lot of time as a hockey, soccer, track, cross-country mom for my one son. My husband and I are kept very busy with his sports.
Awesome. So I realize as I start to do these spotlights too, there's a lot I don't know about folks on the board. So it's great for me to get a chance to get to know everybody a little bit more, as well as everybody watching the podcast. So thanks for sharing. I know you and I have talked a little bit about it, but would you mind sharing why or how you got involved with the Golden House?
Yeah, so I joined the board early in 2023. I've followed Golden House and the work that they do in our community for quite a few years. My cousin Holly used to work at Golden House, so she shared a lot about the mission and she shared a lot of stories, about the people that Golden House serves and about the ways that they serve the community. And I was always really inspired by that. And I know Golden House has gone through some changes over the years, and at one point she introduced me to Chia. Chia was really trying to fill a lot of vacancies, I think, on the board at that time. So we just had some exploratory conversations. We talked about what getting involved at the board level means, what kind of support she was looking for the organization and how that might be a fit. And after a few of those conversations, I submitted my application, and it's been great to be a part of something so meaningful and so important to our community for the last, little bit over a year.
All right. Yeah. So you've kind of ramped up the involvement very quickly, I'll say. So thanks for all that you do, because my next question is going into if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about some of the committees that you serve on, and what's it like for you being a member of the board and some of the involvement that you have now.
Yeah, so you are absolutely right. I really believe that when I get involved in something, I want to be all in on it, right? So to a fault, I tend to, over volunteer sometimes, but with Golden House, I'm enjoying, every committee that I'm on, every volunteer opportunity that I have. So as you know, um, I'm on the executive committee with you. I am currently the vice president of the board, so we work pretty closely together on that committee. I'm also on the marketing committee and the fund development committee, as well as a couple of subcommittees. So I'm on the Show of Strength committee, which is the annual fundraising event that Golden House holds every October. And then I am on the Be Safe committee. So really helping to move the Be Safe campaign forward and keep it front and center in the community.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much for what you've done. For anybody that's watching and thinking about getting involved, we do not ask for that many commitments, because you've just gone, above and beyond here. So again, appreciate all that you're doing with Golden House and for Golden House and all those spots. Um, have you been involved in other nonprofits? Maybe you don't have any time because you've given so much to Golden House. Would you mind sharing any other interests that you've had?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm not currently involved in any other nonprofits. I have in the past, just from a volunteer capacity, spent some time volunteering for Habitat for Humanity. I spent some time volunteering for the Boys and Girls Club. Gotten involved a little bit through some of the things my husband's been involved in through his employer, where we've done a little bit of like graffiti cleanup underneath some of the overpasses. So, we always try to stay as a family involved in giving back to the community on some level, in terms of really board and more professional involvement in nonprofits. I was the chair of the marketing topic committee for a not-for-profit organization, the Association of Energy Service Professionals. So that was really kind of an educational organization. So I served as chair on that committee. I also led the New Professionals Committee for that organization. So anybody who was new to the energy industry, we were really trying to help welcome them and give them a toolkit to learn that industry. There was a lot to learn there. So I sat on that committee as well, and then was really heavily involved in the mentor program for that organization. So today, my main involvement is is with Golden House, but throughout the past, I've really tried to get involved in a volunteer capacity in some way.
So you know how to keep yourself busy. I'm here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit because there's kind of a special reason why you're on this month's podcast here, right? So super exciting. Maybe for me to say, right? No, it's exciting for you too, I believe, but maybe a little bit of nerves. I'll let you make the announcement here if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely, yeah. Nerves is a good way to describe it. I'm excited and nervous and apprehensive to share that I am dancing on behalf of Golden House in this year's Northeast Wisconsin Dancing with Our Stars. That event is held in October. It's an event that has been kind of longstanding in the community, but it was recently revamped. So I think the first run of years for Dancing with Our Stars in the area ended in 2018. I'm not sure exactly when it began, but it ran for many years, and all of the participants at the time danced for the Red Cross. So they would raise funds and they would learn their dance, and they would all come together for this program, and everything really benefiting the American Red Cross. And in 2018, it had, not that it had run its course, but it was time for a pause to the program. So that program ended. And then it was actually revamped in 2023, just last year. And they decided to bring it back in a new format. There are 2,200 nonprofits in Brown County, which is mind-blowing to me. So everybody loves supporting Red Cross. There was nothing wrong with the fact that previously the funds all went to Red Cross, but the organizer of the event, Sean Kaiser, he really wanted to make sure that all of the nonprofits in the area could be served by an event of this magnitude. So there are 8 performers, each of them representing their own nonprofit. So in 2023, they brought it back in that format. It's held at the Epic Event Center. There were, again, 8 dancers, all representing their own nonprofit. There were close to 1,000 people in attendance. And the Mirror Ball trophy is awarded to not the best dancer in the event, but it's awarded to the person who raises the most funds for their nonprofit. So it's an interesting time. They made the official announcement a couple weeks ago, so really kind of third week of March, I believe. So you have from that time until the event on October 5th to learn how to dance if you don't know how to, which I do not, and to raise funds for your nonprofit in a bit of a friendly competition, right? All of us participants are here to support one another. We're in competition in face only, right? Just to make it a little bit fun. We're all doing this for the nonprofits that we serve, and any dollar that we can raise to support them is one more dollar than they had before we joined this event. So we're all, trying to get that Mirror Ball trophy, but we're all really happy to do what we can to raise funds and to raise awareness for the nonprofits that we're supporting. In addition to that Mirror Ball, there are 2 other awards at the event. So it is a little bit about the dancing. So the Mirror Ball goes to the highest fundraiser, but there are judges at the event. So there's a Judge's Choice Award for whoever they think does the best dance technically. And then there's a People's Choice Award. So the people in the crowd get to text in their favorite dancer of the evening, and that person wins the People's Choice Award.
All right, awesome. Well, there's no backing out now, right? It's been announced, but we're putting up the link, the address here to go ahead and make a donation. So if you're watching this, please consider making a donation. We'll continue to share those links out on our social media as well. So if you miss it right here, keep an eye out. There'll be plenty of chances here over the next several months. Yeah, really exciting. I'd encourage everybody to check out the details too. Come on out in October and watch the show. Watch Kristen, by then expert dancing going on. I'm sure that it'll be great, and yeah, it'll just be a lot of fun. I got a chance to look at the list of folks that are dancing with you as well. It's there's so many great organizations in the community. I know a couple of the other folks that are going to be up there dancing with you, so I think it'll be a fun night to watch. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yes. Please come out. I could use all the support I can get.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, as we kind of move through here, getting closer to the end, we do like to ask a few things to get to know you, if you don't mind, and a couple of fun questions mixed in here. So you mentioned you're from the area, so maybe somebody has some similar, kind of memories, but do you have a favorite kind of childhood memory or an event or something when you were younger?
Yeah, so growing up, like nearly everyone else in the city, my family were huge Packer fans. But it was a little bit different for us. My grandpa actually ran the scoreboard at Lambeau Field from the time, Lambeau was built until COVID. My grandpa is 90 years old now, so he was well into his 80s when he finally gave up running that. But he was part of the original team at City Stadium that installed the scoreboard there. So they brought that team over as Lambeau was built, and they helped kind of put the scoreboard together there, and nobody else knew how to run it. So they had this group of guys run the scoreboard, and he got to stay on for years. So um, he had season tickets, and he never sat in his own seats. So it's just a lot of fun memories for me to know that my grandpa was there. I would go with my grandma or my parents or someone else in the family and sit in his seats at the stadium, and we'd look up and try to find exactly where he was in the press box running that scoreboard. So those are great memories.
So if the Packers won, he was the one putting the winning score. We won't talk about the losses though, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's very cool. That's awesome. Um, Maybe one other one. Do you have a favorite vacation, or where do you go to relax and unwind, I guess?
Yeah. So for the last few years, I guess my son is 12. Since he was about 4 or 5, we have been going to the Cabo area. We don't stay right in Cabo. We usually stay in a town called La Ribera. We kind of lucked out the first year we went because we knew we wanted to kind of stay away from the craziness of Cabo and the all-inclusive resorts. We wanted to do something a little bit quieter, so we found a house on the ocean on Airbnb, but we didn't realize that it was going to be a real challenge navigating the roads because the roads are really not marked. They're dirt. We were driving through cactus fields with random cows, and we're like, we're never going to find our house. And somehow we found it, and then we fell in love with the area. So we've been going back there, every year or every other year since, and it's just really peaceful and beautiful and a nice break from the cold winters of Wisconsin.
It's funny how some of the little things of like driving and those things become the memories sometimes that you don't forget about things as well. So that's fun.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to jump into our last little bit here. And these are questions that, if you watch the earlier ones, we've got a list of 39 questions that are just kind of fun, random ones that we like to spring on people. So part of it is I don't want to have the pressure of picking which one, though. So if you can pick a number between 1 and 39, I'm going to read that question and we'll see what we get for an answer.
17.
17. All right. Well, I don't know. We might have the answer to this one already, but what's your favorite sports team and why?
It's got to be the Packers. Not
All
only
right.
because I've been born and raised in Green Bay, but really the connection to my grandpa and the extra special memories that we have. Absolutely the Packers, hands
Yeah,
down.
that one was a given. All right. Maybe we'll do two more. Usually I do two, but that one was a little easy for you. So do you have another number?
19.
19. What actor would play you in a movie about your life? Or
Oh
actress, I
my
guess.
gosh. Um, hmm, that's an interesting one. I'm gonna say Lisa Kudrow,
All right.
only because she's super weird and I wish that I was weirder. So I would love to have somebody with the quirky, weird personality just like spice me up a little bit if they're playing me.
That's kind of a difficult question. So I got that. I didn't even realize it, but I got that one last month too. And I'm like on the fly trying to think of who would that be. So I understand the or the pressure of kind of trying to figure that out on the fly. All right, let's do one more if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
Do you have another number for
Um,
me?
25.
All right. What's your favorite board game?
My favorite board game. Oh, I'm gonna go with not really a board game, but we play a lot of Yahtzee in our house. So Yahtzee is definitely my favorite.
That falls in the group, right?
Yeah. Similar to a board game.
All
Yeah.
right, good. Yeah, it's just kind of fun to have a little bit of odd questions here. So I appreciate playing along with that. As we wrap up, I guess I just want to, I know it was just a couple of minutes ago, but just want to reiterate, thank you for raising your hand, being willing to participate with the Dancing with Our Stars program. Everybody, please support, donation, come to the program, spread the word even. Just if you see the social media posts or something out there, please feel free just to hit share on that and spread the word for Kristen and for Golden House. We appreciate all the support. And Kristen, ton of work you've been doing, and all the different committees and involvement that you've jumped into in about a year's time. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been absolutely my pleasure. It sounds like a lot, but when it's so impactful and you're working for an organization that does so much for the community, it doesn't feel like work. So it's been a really great experience for me.
All right. Well, thank you. And I'm just gonna kind of wrap up our podcast. So episode number 3, again, after taking off a busy year, we kind of picked up in April. So I want to thank everybody who stuck around and watched the podcast. And we look forward to another exciting episode next month. So thanks everybody.
Thank you.